A major vulnerability just dropped for Java developers, and it's getting a lot of attention. So let's break down what happened and what you need to do next. So we're talking a critical severity, auth bypass with forged credentials, no user interaction, and network reachable exploitation in affected deployments. In practical terms, if your application relies on the vulnerable encrypted JWT flow, an attacker may be able to authenticate without proving identity. This is not a put it in the next sprint problem. This is a patch right now situation. So the big question, what is the impact here? The real question is not, do we use Pack4j? It's, does our authentication flow use it? Because even if Pack4j isn't front and center in your stack, it may still be embedded in a framework, service, or auth integration that your teams depend on. And once you zoom out to actual usage, the scale becomes much more concerning. Vulnerable versions of Pack4j JWT were downloaded more than 30,000 times in the week before the announcement, based on Maven Central data. That alone puts it in the top tier of widely consumed packages. But according to Sonatype research, Pack4j JWT is not the only vulnerable package in scope. Across the broader Pack4j ecosystem, there are over 1,000 vulnerable versions spanning 19 unique packages, which together accounted for 83,000 downloads in the previous week. Pack4j shows up across more than 20 frameworks and tools, and it supports a wide range of authentication mechanisms including JWT, OIDC, OAuth, SAML, LDAP, and more. That ecosystem reaches what makes a bug like this so disruptive. So what is the vulnerability? It's an authentication bypass where an application incorrectly trusts specially crafted encrypted JWTs. In the vulnerable flow, a token can be decrypted without its signature being properly verified, so untrusted claims may be treated as authenticated identity. In other words, the application accepts information it never fully proved it could trust. So with a severe, immediately actionable issue like this, how do teams respond? Look at how quickly this moved. The private disclosure landed on February 28th. Patch releases shipped on March 3rd, and a CVE appeared in the NBD dataset the next day. Public advisories followed right after. That is an incredibly compressed timeline. It's a good example of the pressure modern development teams are under. When a critical vulnerability drops, the window to assess and respond is measured in days, not weeks. So what should you do? The response really comes down to 3 steps. First, identify every application or service using vulnerable Pack4j JWT versions, directly or transitively. Second, upgrade immediately to the fixed releases. And third, verify that the patch is actually deployed and that your environments are no longer exposed. The other key point is this. Don't stop at Pack4j JWT itself. Any framework or internal service that built authentication on top of Pack4j may also be affected, so you need to check the whole auth path. You can visit Sonatype Guide for a list of impacted packages and remediation guidance. And that leads to the bigger question. How do you get ahead of the next issue like this? Here is exactly where partners like Sonatype step in. This is where software supply chain defense matters. You need to quickly find every affected application, block vulnerable components before they spread, and continuously monitor for newly disclosed risk in production. The advantage is speed and precision. When a high severity issue hits a widely used open source component, security teams need to know where it is, what depends on it, and what action to take. Using AI assistants or agents? Then you need guidance at the moment of choice. Firewall helps stop bad components at the front door, and Lifecycle governs risk across the SDLC. Sonatype Guide moves even earlier, giving developers and AI assistants real-time intelligence as dependencies are being selected, so they choose components that are secure, healthy, and policy-aligned from the start. The result is less rework, fewer risky suggestions, and safer AI-assisted development. Attackers move at open source speed now. The question is whether your defenses do too. This CVE is a reminder that one flaw in a trusted auth component can create immediate risk across an entire ecosystem. The teams that respond best are the ones that can identify exposure fast, patch quickly, and continuously monitor what's in production. That's how you turn a critical disclosure into a manageable event instead of a crisis.